Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Mads and it is with great horror and shock that I'm bringing you my January wrap up. I don't know how we're already done with the first month of the year, but we are. And so here we are. Like I'm sure it did for many other people, January brought me many new things, including a new schedule. I have a whole new set of classes and I worked a lot in a new part of my job. A lot of new things, but it's also really exciting. I just have to get into it. In case you haven't been following along with me these last couple of videos, I have been rereading the Percy Jackson series, and I'm on a quest to read all of Rick Riordan's books because I haven't read all of Rick Riordan's books, so I am on a quest to read everything by him. And my Percy Jackson reread was entirely sparked by this show coming out starting last month. So this month and the next couple of months, it's gonna be very full of Rick Riordan books, but here we are. Kind of a little side note, I didn't rate any of my rereads, and typically I don't mind rating my rereads. Like when I reread Red, White, and Royal Blue, I rated it a 5-star because I always rate that one a 5-star. But this one I felt a little bit weird about rating, only because, I don't know, I feel like my rating would be a little bit thrown off based purely off of my nostalgia for this series. Like, I couldn't think about it in the way that I would any other book that I was reading, and I would give all of them an automatic 5 stars because of how much they mean to me and how much I adore them. So I felt kind of weird rating them. It was gonna be different than if I was reading them for the first time, and it's not gonna be like my whole like unbiased opinion because I'm very biased about these books. So none of my Rick Riordan books in this video are gonna be rated, so I just wanted to let you know, so when you see me not rating these books, you're not like, Mads, what are you doing? I swear I know what I'm doing. Not really. Anyways, I started the month and the year with The Titan's Curse, once again, by Rick Riordan, and guys, I love this book. If you don't know, the Percy Jackson series follows this boy who finds out that he's a demigod, which means he is half Greek god, and he gets thrown into this world of Greek mythology, kind of mixing with the current world. And it's super fun, it's super exciting. It is a middle grade series, so it is pretty quick to read in my opinion. Super easy, but also still super just like it hits. You know, it still hits no matter what age you are. I read the first 2 end of last year / month, and I started this year / month with The Titan's Curse. I really love this book for a lot of different reasons. I love getting to see Percy go feral throughout the entire book, and I love all the new characters that we get introduced to in this one. Like, the characters we get introduced to in this one are very vital to the series, but it's also so funny seeing them as babies. Like, they're just babies in this one, and I love them so much. Especially getting to see a certain character in this one grow throughout the rest of Rick Riordan's books, not just in this series. I also love we get to see Artemis and Apollo in the Hunters of Artemis, and we start to see some Titans in this one, which is kind of part of the big bad villain in this series. And I just love how every book brings you a new mythology to learn about, even though, yeah, I've read this so many times, so I already know everything that it brings, and I've already learned it all, but it's still so fun to see what each book brings. Also, we get to meet Blackjack. Blackjack's his Pegasus, and he's on the cover, and he's amazing, and he's a very sassy horse, much like Percy. So, I love him. Of course, next I read The Battle of the Labyrinth. This one, I also adore. And this one, when I first read it so many years ago, gave me my first like fangirl kicking and screaming moment, and if you know what it was in reference to. So this book just gives me so much just nostalgia when I read it. Like, it just brings me so much joy. There's so many moments where I'm just like, guys are so cute. So I just really love this book. And yeah, there's a couple of parts that I don't love in it. Like, there are some characters that I don't love the role of in this book, but I can still love and adore and appreciate this book for everything it gave me. Also, in this book, you get your first taste of like the war that's brewing throughout this entire series. You see this first battle, and yeah, it's called Battle of the Labyrinth, but you get to see them actually battling their enemies as a collective team. instead of just like fighting each other and capture the flag. So I also really love that because Camp Half-Blood, so powerful, OP, I adore them, and they could win any battle in my opinion. So I'm not biased at all. And then next I read The Last Olympian. I don't have this one with me physically right now because my brother is still holding it hostage after I let him borrow it, but it's fine. The Last Olympian is probably my favorite book in the entire series because it wraps up so well and you just get to see the peak of so many characters. Like everything they've been fighting for, everything that their character has been building towards just hits in this moment, in this book. And it's insane. And basically the entire book is just about the war. Like literally from chapter 1 to one of the last chapters, they are fighting throughout all of it, or they're trying to find a solution to help them fight. So it's absolutely insane, filled with so much action and battle and kind of some angst. You get to see some prominent side character deaths, and you get to see like how protective some of these characters are over each other, especially Percy and Annabeth. And you just get to see Percy really come into his powers in this one. Like he does so much in this book, and everybody else is just kind of like, hey dude, what's happening? When did you learn how to do that? And Percy's just like going like absolutely berserk on all of these monsters and titans, and it's absolutely insane what this 15-year-old boy can do, but he does it all. And then of course we see the wrap up of the big prophecy so nicely with the big blue bow, and I just love Percy and Annabeth so much, and you get to see them, just them, no thoughts but them. I adore them, and I want them to be happy forever. So yeah, I started this month with me finishing the Percy Jackson series for the however many times I've read this series. I don't even know, I haven't kept track. I really should have kept track of how many times I read this series. There was a while where I would reread it literally every summer because it's such a summery book series. A lot of it takes place during the summer, and I was gonna save it for the summer this year. But then the Percy Jackson show came out, and I am nothing if not weak-willed. So I started the Percy Jackson series, and I'm living my best life. And then as soon as I wrapped up The Last Olympian, I started to read The Lost Hero, which is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series. This one is like very interconnected to the Percy Jackson series. Like you see Percy and Annabeth throughout the series because they are still main characters, but this one follows a balance of Roman mythology and Greek mythology, which are already very similar to each other, and then a whole new big prophecy. You get some new characters in, and in my head I've always just pictured it as like a continuation of the Percy Jackson series. So it only felt right to reread this series as well. So of course I picked up The Lost Hero, and I have so many mixed feelings about this book, guys. Like, I love the beginning of it because it's so funny and iconic when the book starts and everybody has this collective moment of who the heck is Jason, where's Percy? Because this book doesn't follow Percy or Annabeth. It follows these three new characters, Jason, Piper, and Leo, as they get introduced to the Greek world and they are having to go on a quest after getting a prophecy. It's just kind of insane, and it throws you off a lot because you're just like, who are these people? Where are my characters? So there's definitely a lot of mixed feelings surrounding this book, not just for me but for everybody, and my mixed feelings really rely around the characters. Like, of course I love the plot, I love the writing, I love the pacing, and I of course love all the new Greek mythology characters we get introduced to in this one. Especially we see a lot of more on the mortal side than the immortal ones. Like, typically we'll see a lot of monsters or immortals, but in this book we get to see a lot of the well-known mortals that are in the Greek myths. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about the characters. I adore Leo with my entire being. Like, I adore Leo and he deserves the world. I want to protect him from anything and everything. But I don't really like Piper and Jason. I feel like Piper's character surrounds Jason a lot. It's annoying because she's the main female character of the book and her entire personality surrounds the male main character of the book, which of course I just hate on principle. There's just a lot of things about her character that I don't really love apart from that, like how she always downplays her beauty and she looks down on the children of Aphrodite and Aphrodite herself, because she's like, oh my gosh, it's so dumb, like I'm not a girly girl, like I'm not like that, I'm cool, I wear ratty clothes and cut my hair with plastic scissors. And it's like, okay, good for you, I don't know what you want me to say here. It just feels like she looks down on a lot of different people. And then Jason, okay, I hate Jason for the same reason I hate Captain America and Superman, because this man comes in and he's all like, oh, I'm perfect, like I am the epitome of justice, like I do everything right, I'm the golden boy, and then I just want to slap them in the head. I don't like those characters, and Jason is that character. And he's so just like, I don't know where I am, I don't know who I am, but I know I'm the leader, like I'm the alpha dog. And I'm like, nobody cares, nobody asked, stop talking. I have a lot of opinions on Jason, but those are my main ones. And I also hate how, like, in this trio, Rick tries to make them, you know, this trio where they're all friends and a lot like Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. But however, Piper and Jason are more focused on each other than they are on Leo, and then Leo just gets overlooked and thrown off to the side, not just in this book, but in every other book in the series. And it makes me so mad. Like, Leo deserves justice. In Leo's eyes, Jason is his best friend, but in Jason's eyes, Leo's just kind of there, and it makes me mad. So I have a lot of heavy opinions about this, but I do love what we get to see of Annabeth and of Camp Half-Blood and of Rachel. We get to see Rachel being just Rachel in this book, and I love her for it. And it's interesting to see Camp Half-Blood throughout all of the Percy Jackson books, and then once again see it through new eyes as these new characters come into it, and I just think it's super interesting. So I love this book series, but this is not a great start to it, and I have a lot of opinions about it, in case you couldn't tell. Oh, I actually didn't read Son of Neptune next. Next, I read something else. After I read The Lost Hero, I decided to change up the pace a little bit, and I read Girls Who Burn by M.K. Pagano. Well, I guess I kind of was reading these two a little bit at the same time. There was some overlap, and I read Girls Who Burn on my phone because the amazing Penguin Teen had sent it to me as an e-arc. So Girls Who Burn comes out on July 16th of 2024, and honestly, I think it's a very good summer read, or even a good fall read. I feel like it could be read on either of these seasons, so I think July is a good time for it to come out. It follows our main girl who had lost her sister the summer before in this kind of accident. She fell off into this ravine, and her sister's like, it wasn't an accident, like it wasn't her sister's doing, something's happening here. And so throughout the entire year, she blames this one person, and then this person also ends up dying. And so she now kind of takes it upon herself to figure out how these two people died and basically kind of who did it, because it obviously wasn't an accident and it wasn't done by themselves. So she teams up with this guy that she kind of grew up with during the summers to solve this mystery. And it's definitely interesting, and it definitely has a great mystery to it. I ended up rating this one 3 stars. It wasn't great. Like, I didn't love it, but it also wasn't bad. Like, I definitely appreciated a lot of aspects about this book. Yeah, there were some things I didn't love. I didn't always love the characters and how they're being portrayed. I felt like we didn't get an in-depth kind of view of the main girl and her sister. Like, I didn't feel a connection between them, so it didn't really hit as deep as I think it could have. And then there's some other kind of just side relationships in this book that I don't think were developed in the way that would make it more emotional. But that being said, I think it was still a pretty good book. The mystery was really good, and I honestly didn't see the ending coming. I didn't see the who did it coming. And typically throughout the entire book, especially when it's a mystery, I'm like, okay, I'm in detective mode. Who did it? There's always that one character that I'm like so like focused on. I'm like, this person did it. And then I'm always wrong for the most part. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I get it. I do love how I really didn't see the ending coming and the whodunit part coming. And one part I definitely really loved about this book was the little splash of romance we got in it. I just thought that they were kind of cute. Like, they were just cute, and I love them. And I thought they had chemistry, which hits so hard for me. Like, if a character has chemistry with somebody, then like I think it carries the book a lot further. And when they don't have chemistry, it holds it back a lot. I definitely think that these two had chemistry, and I liked how they interacted throughout the mystery. I do feel at some points the mystery didn't make sense, or like something was happening with the mystery that could have been done a little bit differently. But for the most part, I really did enjoy this book, and it was definitely very atmospherically spooky, and it takes place a lot in these woods. It has that atmosphere. It has a great atmosphere to it, and I really did love that. And like I said, it could honestly be read in either summer or fall. So if this sounds like a book that you think you would enjoy or that you would like to check out, I recommend reading it during either of those seasons. I think either of those would be great. Once again, thank you Penguin Teen for sending me this book. So after Girls Who Burn, I did read The Son of Neptune, second book in the Heroes of Olympus series. I have some mixed feelings about this one, but I do love this one more than I love The Lost Hero. And this one does follow Percy, and you get to figure out where the heck Percy's been all these months. And it also introduces two new characters, Frank and Hazel. And this one is more focused on the Roman side of everything. This book is a good book. It's a good book. And rereading it, I forget how long it takes them to actually leave for the quest. Because they don't leave for the quest until like page 190. Or something, which is honestly kind of insane, but also makes a lot of sense when you think about how they're introducing this new camp, this new kind of world to us. They need some time to dive a bit into it, but it's just like funny rereading something and you're like, I didn't realize how long it took them to do this, because in your head it happened a lot faster. But anyways, I do love this book, and the quest is honestly super cool, and it's also really heartbreaking because Percy's been separated from everyone that we know and love, and it's just like, Percy, go back home. You don't belong here, go back home. So it just kind of hurts a little bit, just like a lot, but it also is very good angst, and I do love some good angst, so I'm not gonna complain. Of course, I adore Percy. Percy's perfect and amazing and spectacular. Hazel is adorable. Like, I love Hazel. She's a sweetheart. I want to give her a hug. She's just so sweet. And you know, she's just inherently a good person. Like, she's just a good person, and you can see that. And every time I've read the series, I'm like, oh, I love Frank. Frank's adorable. But then I'm rereading this book, and guys, I kind of don't love Frank anymore. And it's really weird, and maybe it's because Laurel pointed some things out to me, and I kind of had like my eyes opened a little bit, but Frank is just a little bit too insecure. Like, yeah, I get the insecurity, like I get it, but at the same time, it's like his entire character. In the beginning, he's like really sweet and cute, but as he goes on, he's kind of just like mad at who his godly parent is, trying to figure out what the heck his gift is, and the entire time he's just like, oh man, I'm just useless. Like, or like, I wish I had ADHD, I just am lactose intolerant. And it's like, dude, like, calm down and claim what you have. It's annoying, and throughout the book I found him kind of more and more annoying, especially as he got a little bit more powerful and he started to discover more things about himself, because then he was like still like weirdly insecure, but also starting to get a little bit of an ego, which are two things that you don't think goes together, but they do for him. It sucks seeing this character that I used to honestly really enjoy and getting a new opinion on him, but that's also, rereading books will do that. This book is honestly really enjoyable, a lot more than The Lost Hero, but it's still not my favorite of the series, and I really do love how quick this book jumps into the next book. Like, it's insane how quick that transition happens. So those are my thoughts on The Son of Neptune. Not my favorite book in the series, but also not my least favorite. Definitely a lot better than the first one. And yeah. So after The Son of Neptune, I read Heart Still Beating by Brooke Archer. This one was again sent to me by Penguin Teen, and it was an e-arc, and this book comes out on April 2nd, 2024. This one follows the zombie apocalypse, and I heard it kind of described as a sapphic version of The Last of Us. I don't agree with that, because of many things. But it is a sapphic love story set in the zombie apocalypse where one of the love interests is a former zombie who is getting reintroduced to society and thrown in with this girl's family, and they have a history. There's a lot of like angst and feelings happening, and it's definitely very interesting. I rated this one also a 3-star for, again, a lot of different reasons. I loved Mara, and she was a zombie character. Part of it gave me Warm Body vibes, like that movie Warm Bodies, because you see this like love story between a live person and a kind of dead person, but definitely also a little bit different. And I thought it was so cool to see like this world from a zombie's perspective, but not really a full zombie, a former zombie who's getting treatment, and it's insane. And it's definitely an insane premise that I didn't know going into it, so that was definitely a big shocker. I think the main thing holding me back was that I didn't love Rory, and I didn't think the two characters had much chemistry, and I feel like it's hard when it is this like former childhood best friend to strangers to lovers kind of situation happening here. I feel like that is a hard one to do properly. Like, I just think objectively it's kind of a harder one to do, and I don't think this one was necessarily done to my satisfaction, if that makes sense. I definitely think there are some parts that could have been better, and I think their chemistry could have been built on a little bit more. And then there were a lot of times where Rory was just annoying me, and she was just unreasonably angry at Mara, and I'm like, what are you mad about? Like, literally none of this is her fault, and she's acting like Mara caused the entire apocalypse, and it's like, dude, stop. Something I think you see a lot in zombie media is that they find this safe haven in the apocalypse, and of course some weird stuff starts to go down in this safe haven. And instead of focusing on the monsters that are actually out there and these like undead people, the real villain is like people, like human alive people. And I always think that is a really cool aspect to explore, and I always love how a lot of zombie media portrays that, how humans are kind of the real villain here and not just these zombies, because the zombies have no choice and the humans are literally doing this to themselves and to each other, and I think it's a really cool aspect to explore. The ending I had a lot of mixed feelings on, like, not gonna lie, I had a lot of just like different feelings on it, and I don't think I loved how it ended. It's okay, it's fine, I'll get over it. It's still a really cool story, and sapphic stories set in the zombie apocalypse, I need more of those. I heard it was described as a sapphic version of The Last of Us. The reason I don't think it should be described as that is that because it doesn't really have that dynamic that Joel and Ellie have in The Last of Us, and so I don't think it can properly be described as a sapphic version of that. It's just a sapphic love story set in the zombie apocalypse. I also love how every piece of zombie media has a different reason for it starting and a different name for the zombies. And so I love starting these things and like learning how it started in this world and what they're called in this world. And so I think that's super interesting. I would so be willing to read more books about the zombie apocalypse now. I'm just a dystopian girly, and I love high stakes, and that very much isn't captured in the zombie apocalypse because it's all dystopian and it's all high stakes. If that sounds interesting to you, please go check it out. I definitely recommend it to people, and if you do end up reading it, please do let me know your thoughts, because I would just love to talk to somebody about it, even though it doesn't come out for another couple of months. And once again, as always, thank you, Penguin Teen, for sending me this e-arc. So that is the last book I finished in January. I was trying really, really hard to read The Mark of Athena and to finish it by the time January ended, and I was on such a good track. Like, if I stayed on track, I could have done it. And then, you know, I had to work one Saturday, and then I went skiing on Sunday, and then I started reading Jaggyless fanfiction. So I just kind of got thrown off track, and I didn't even get halfway. I would be disappointed in myself, but I'm not, because I read Jaggyless fanfiction. Those are the 7 books I read in January. Such a wonderful start to the year. Like, I'm so happy and proud of myself that I got to read this many books starting off the year. I know last year I read quite a few books in January as well, because the start of January I'm still on break, so I do have a lot of time to read, but I'm hoping that I can keep it up in this next month and that this February doesn't look like last February where I read 2 books. I have faith. I can do this. I can read a lot of books in February. So here is my February TBR. First off, I'm really hoping to finish The Mark of Athena in February, hopefully very quickly in February, knock it out of the way, and get on to my more favorite books in the series, because I really do love The House of Hades. I don't reread The Mark of Athena often. Like, I reread the Percy Jackson series so often, and then I'm like, oh, now I need to reread the Heroes of Olympus series, and then I read The Lost Hero, and then I read The Son of Neptune, and then I start The Mark of Athena, and then I get distracted or get bored rereading, and then I'm like, okay, time for something else. But this time I'm actually gonna do it. I'm actually gonna finish this book, and I think this is the first time I'm actually physically reading my copies of this one and the other two. I am definitely looking forward to finishing this one and reading it. And then of course after that I will be reading The House of Hades. Am I ready for this? No. But I'm so excited to be heard again. I adore this book. It's probably my favorite in the series, mainly because of the high stakes and the angst and everything that goes down in this book. It's absolutely insane. So I'm hoping when I reread it, I get to appreciate it and love it the same way I did when I read it the first time. And I'm hoping not too many of my opinions change, because that would be kind of tragic. So I'm scared, but I'm looking forward to this book. And then of course after that is Blood of Olympus. I really hope I can get to this one in February. I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of my memories of this book are very hazy. I know generally what happens, but a lot of the details are kind of gone from my memory. So I can't wait to read it and just see it all again, and to just get a good refresh on everything that happens. And of course it's the series finale, so I can't wait to see it all wrap up once again. And then, I know this is wishful thinking, guys, but I'm really hoping after I read those 3 books, I can then read Chalice of the Gods. And this one is a first timer. This is my first time reading a new Percy Jackson book in a very long time, so I'm so excited for this. And this one follows Percy as he needs recommendation letters for college, and he has to go on a quest for the gods to get that letter. So it sounds super exciting, super amazing. It has the new cover, although I'm eternally and forever biased of these covers. Like, I will always choose these ones over these ones no matter how gorgeous these new ones are. Sorry, not sorry. But I can't wait to read this one, and I know it's gonna be super quick. It's super short, but I can't wait to read it, guys. I can't wait to finally read it. And then along with those books, I'm hoping to get some more of my e-arcs sent from Penguin Teen done with. I'm kind of behind on them, so I'm hoping I can get through them. I don't really have a specific plan for the ones I want to read. I think I'm just gonna go off vibes and like look through my list and see which ones I'm kind of in the mood for, and not really plan that one by TBR, but they are on my TBR still. Like, they all have an equal chance of ending up on my February TBR. So I'm just gonna play that one by ear and do a little bit of a mood read with that one. And then of course, as I typically do with my monthly wrap-up videos, I have a very mini book haul, very mini. There's just one book in it, and I literally bought it today. But today I bought Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and it was my little reward for getting through my first month of the year. Did I need a reward? No. But I feel like I'm not gonna buy any books for a while now, because I have a lot of books that I'm really looking forward to reading, like this one, Powerless, Divine Rivals, like a lot of books that I really am looking forward to reading I have in my hands now. So I don't think I'm going to be buying books for the foreseeable future. And that's not just like a book buying ban, like I need to stop buying books. I mean, yeah, I do, but also just like I don't really need to buy books right now. Like, I have plenty, and my library selection has been getting a little bit better, thank goodness. And so I think that I am gonna be set for a while. So this may be my last little book haul that you see in my monthly wrap-ups, but I got Wildfire. This one is in the Icebreaker series, the Maple Hills series, following Russ and his love interest as they work out summer camp. I'm probably not gonna read this one till summer, but I'm still so excited because I loved Icebreaker, and I can't wait to see all my characters again, all my babies, and I hope I get to see them. Like, even if it's just like a little bit of them, I hope I get to see them. Yeah, super excited about that. Do we have room on the shelf for it?
Slave, probably not.
No, we don't. I'll figure it out. So that is my very first monthly wrap up of the year 2024. absolutely insane how we're already done with the first month, but I'm very much looking forward to February. And while everybody is reading love stories and romance books for the month of Valentine's Day, I'm reading middle grade mythology books about demigods fighting a war and having mixed feelings about the characters that are in them. So that's gonna be my February. Please let me know what your February reading month is gonna look like. Let me know how your January reading month was, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts on any of the books I talked about or about any of my opinions that I said. I know some of my opinions were a little opinionated, so I would love to know your thoughts. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe below, and I will see you all next week. Bye!